Ableton Live 11 comes with a lot of really cool instruments that you can play with. Your assignment in this project is going to be to copy one of the presets under Wavetable. You're going to take a blank Wavetable preset, which you can obtain just by grabbing the name of Wavetable and dragging it over. Now you have a blank Wavetable default synth. Then, and that sounds like this. Kind of boring. Then I want you to get into this drop-down menu and start to explore a little bit. Start to find a sound that you really like to copy. I want you to copy all of the settings. And in doing so, you're going to learn an awful lot about how Wavetable works. Here's one, for example. Let's say I like that one, Alpha Log Brass. I am going to copy all of these settings over to this blank wavetable. Now, this Alpha Log Brass is a fairly simple wavetable form. If you get down into something like, say for example, you open up Duality Brass. Notice this looks a lot different than your standard wavetable. These are called macros, and these are a bunch of little presets that are within the wavetable setting. You can find the wavetable synth by clicking down here, and it's right over here. But there's some effects at the end. This may be a little more complex than you want to get into for your first wavetable project. So if you start to see a bunch of these macro controls in the presets, I'd choose a different one. Go on the simple side. So for example, I'm going to go with this Alpha Log Brass. Now all the wavetable synths are made up of 2 oscillators, 3 envelopes, 2 LFOs, and a matrix. You also have 2 filters and a sub oscillator as well. They're all nested in here under these little tabs, but you can expand it by hitting this little expand triangle. Now you can see here's your 2 oscillators, 1 and 2, and your sub oscillator, plus your 3 envelopes, ADSR, and your 2 LFOs. Your matrix is here. And we're going to explain how all this stuff works, and you're going to learn an awful lot about the synthesizer in this lesson. So this is the Alpha Log Brass. I'm going to click on my wavetable, the blank one, and I'm going to expand it as well. So now they're both the same. Now, the basic way this works is that I have this oscillator, and it's playing a sine wave. So if I wanted it to be a different shape, I could just change the oscillator position. You'll take a notice down here that when I'm moving the oscillator position slider, it does say so in the matrix. You can see that little line growing. Now I can also make that move. I can make LFO1, for example, move this oscillator by going over to here, LFO1, and typing in a number in the grid. So let me type in 25. Now notice that when I hit a key, it's going to move. That's this LFO affecting the position of this oscillator. That's basically how this wavetable synth works. So I'm going to put that back to 0. Now, you could go in here and play and learn an awful lot, but I find it much more rewarding and much more eye-opening to try to copy a preset. So I'm going to start with this Alpha Log Brass, and you find your preset and you can copy it too. So I'm going to just work from left to right. The sub is on. So in Alpha Log Brass, sounds like this. In my synth, sounds like this. So let's turn on that sub and see what it sounds like. All right, I can hear it, it's in there. But in the Alpha Log Brass settings, the gain is at -11 and the tone is at 86. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. -11, I'm just typing this in, and the tone is at 86, typing in. Good. Now I'm going to play it. And for reference over here. All right, it's getting a little closer. Now, the Alpha Log Brass has the octave set at 0, and the transpose is at -12 steps. Wavetable, I'm going to make that match. 0, -12 steps. And play it. All right, sounds a lot different now. So here's Alpha Log Brass, and here's my synth. Just by playing with that sub, I'm getting closer. So I'm going to just work my way through all of these settings across the top. And you should too. After you make a change, make sure you play a key on your keyboard. Or go ahead and make a little MIDI clip. So, for example, if you don't want to keep playing your keyboard, I'm just going to take a note. I'll pop that in right here. and then I'm going to copy it, and I'll paste it over here. Then I'm going to move this note to go over here. Boom. So now when I play this scene, and I'm going to pan too. Let me pan the synth that I'm designing over on this side and the alpha log brass over on this side. So now when I play this scene, I'll be able to hear a note on the left and then a note on the right. So now I can get to work and I can play this and it'll just keep playing while I make my changes. It's a handy little tool to have available to you in case you just want to play it while you're making changes so you can hear stuff changing as you're making your adjustments. Or you can just reach out with your hand and play your piano keyboard as well. So here I go. Okay, so I've copied the oscillators pretty much exactly, so I'm happy with that for now. I'm going to move on to the envelopes and the LFOs. Now, a couple of things you should know. You can, in addition to typing a value in here, you can use your up and down arrow keys as well. So if you want to move it up or down, use your up down arrow keys. That's very, very handy. All right, I'm going to do the exact same thing to the envelopes and to the LFOs. Here we go. Okay, so I've copied all the settings from the first tab, the time tab, of all of the envelopes and all of the oscillators. So now I'm going to go into this slope tab on all of them. So alpha log brass under slope and wavetable, my wavetable under slope. Alpha log is 0, 38, negative 130, 0, 38, and then I'll continue. Okay, I'm pretty close. Here's what I've got. They're pretty close. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get through the filters and the matrix.